our March series.
Yes, and I want to thank everyone for joining us for this Wednesday afternoon. Alam namin na you guys might have a lot to do in your day, and we're just very thankful that you're actually giving us this time for us to give you this learning session for today. And we have a very exciting guest and topic for today, no? Pero I don't want to get ahead of myself, no, Gabby. Siguro to start things, for everyone entering, I want to see some engagement from everyone. Can anyone introduce themselves and tell us where you're tuning in from? And we're getting a lot of good afternoons for everyone. Hi, Lyra. Hello. Hello, Mildred. Hello, Maxine. Hello, everyone. And we have our first one. Hi, Lou from Tanay Rizal. Uy, ang lapit mo lang sa akin. And good afternoon.
Hi, Leah.
And good afternoon from Lipa City College's si Renz. Ayan, may nag-anyong pa sa chat. Yan, anyong rin sa'yo. Ayan, again.
Angela's also from Lipa City.
Ayan. Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Uy, may schoolmate ako. Hi, Lyra. May galing SLC.
Okay, from St. Louis. Ayan, may special shoutout ka pa. Hello from Dasmariñas, Cavite, si Trisha. Good afternoon, everyone. From Nueva Ecija. And uy, mukhang dami natin from Lipa City College. Thank you for attending our webinar this afternoon.
Wally is also from Binangonan, Rizal. Hi!
Ayan. I'm loving the engagement so far, Gabby. Siguro gusto ko lang tanungin, no? A lot of areas might have problems kasi may problema yung PLDT today. So, ayan, mag-check na kayo sa chat. Nagkaroon ba kayo ng internet problems today? Or are you still currently having internet problems? I hope everything is going okay naman for you guys. Okay.
So we still have participants coming in. So if you have schoolmates or co-workers who would want to tune in, we still have space in the room. And we're also streaming on YouTube.
Mm-mm.
So sabi nga ni Alma, di ba, dun sa mga mahihirapang connect on Zoom, if it would be easier for you to watch from YouTube, you can also.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gabby. I feel like this is a great start now. Maybe we can move forward with the program that we have for this afternoon. Okay, so to start things off, hello again, everyone. Welcome to the second free webinar series this March. Today, we're going to be discussing Girl Boss, the power of nurture in the workplace. But I'm getting ahead of myself once again, Gabby. We haven't even introduced ourselves. So to start things off, my name is Luis Almazar, pero you guys can call me Alma. I'm the Wellbeing Services Associate of Positive Workplaces. And when it comes to everything and anything about our products and services, I'm your guy. And joining me is my very wonderful co-host.
Yes, I'm Gabby Liamson. You can call me Gabby, and I'm the Learning and Development Associate of Positive Workplaces. If you need someone to facilitate courses with you or co-create content for your organization, I'm your girl.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Gabby. And as per usual, we always like to start with the mission of Positive Workplaces. And our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. We want to make you guys enjoy your Monday. That Monday na iniisip ng lahat, nako Monday, babalik na naman to work. We don't want that mindset to prevail. We want to change that. We want you to enjoy going to work. And how in fact do we create these positive workplaces? No, we do it through what is called positivity ripples. And what that means is we start with leading the self. We teach you, our learners, to become better leaders of your own well-being. And we do that through events like this, our public webinar. We also do trainings and courses and consulting work for many clients and companies. And that's where we're able to work directly with our learners to create positive leaders. After leading the self, you can then lead others. Ang favorite pun ng boss namin dito si John is, kung nasa aeroplano ka, tapos bumaba yung oxygen mask, di ba sinasabi lagi ng flight attendant, ilagay mo muna yung oxygen mask mo before you decide to help the person to your left or right. Even if they're babies, they're younger, you put the mask on for yourself first. With that same analogy, it's the same thing for leading the others. You have to first be a leader of your own well-being before you can decide to help others. And when you can help others, you create cultures. These cultures like team cohesion, um, compassion. These are examples of cultures that we want to have in our workplace. These cultures that encourage us to perform well and actually want to go to work. And if we're able to create many companies that have positive cultures, it then paves the way for what we call as positive workplaces. This is the positivity ripple.
Since we believe that leading the self is very important, it's one of the reasons why Alma and I really think about the topics we give you in our free webinars. And this March, we are discussing the future is female, women and well-being in the workplace. Last Last Wednesday, we were with Elijah Corpus and she discussed how discussing and challenging toxic masculinity benefits everyone in the workplace. And today, we will be with Aya Del Mundo, the creative consultant, digital marketer, and project manager, and co-founder of Bata PH. And next week, we will have Bea Almoite, a gender consultant of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, or the UK government. So
Yeah,
Alma,
ayun, you guys, like what Gabby said, very exciting topics. But before we start, we always start with a little bit of reminders for everyone. No, Gabby, do you want to start us off?
yes, have another device and be ready to go to another link because we will be using Mentimeter and Padlet this afternoon. And we'd love for you to prepare a pen and paper for your notes because I'm sure na you are going to be taking a lot of notes this afternoon.
And next, we highly encourage engagement with the audience. So ayan, like what you've seen in the chat, we are loving the engagement so far. The only thing we ask is to, of course, please be respectful to everyone else in the chat. And for those who are looking for certification later on, we will be releasing an evaluation form at the very end of our session that will be open for 30 minutes only. So it is through that evaluation form that you will get your certification. So in the blanks wherein you are to provide a name, the only thing I would like to ask is that make sure that you write your full name and email address because this will be what will be reflected on the certificate itself. And also, if you haven't received your certificate right away, kindly wait at least 2 days before contacting us in Positive Workplaces. Because normally there's a delay talaga sa dami ng sumasagot ng evaluation forms and whatnot. So I hope you can be patient with us as well. And so with that, today we're discussing Girl Boss, the power of nurture in workplaces. Today we have with us Aya Del Mundo, who is a communications specialist. She is a content creator and project manager, as well as a social media strategist for her own company, Bata PH, that she co-founded. So without further ado, I want to give the floor to Miss Aya Del Mundo.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. I will further introduce myself later on. So, as they've said, I will be talking about the power of nurture in the workplace or in organizations in general for this afternoon. But first of all, since we also want to start with some engaging things. I want to get to know some of our audience, our participants. So let's start because yun nga, 'di ba? We're talking about positivity a lot. They've talked about positivity a lot during the introduction. So let's start with something like that for the check-in. So I just want to know, this is a question. Please put your answers in the chat box. So just to start things off positively, I want to ask you what's one thing that you feel good about yourself or what do you like about yourself? Sige, so parang yun yung attendance check natin today. Like, for example, or it can be about today or about yourself in general. Like, you can say, I love my eyes, or it can be physical, it can be emotional. Parang pwede mo, ayan, I like that I am creative. Oh, hello. What else? So, I'm flexible. I like my smile. Yan. I love my resilience. I met a new person today. Yay. I like being productive. Ayan, no. Look at the chat box, no? So, parang, ma-absorb natin yung positivity of everyone. I like learning new things. Yes, so welcome to my talk. I hope you learned something today. I like that I am alive. Oh my gosh, ang ganda naman nun. I like my confidence. Yes. Kind, understanding, and hardworking. Tama. Okay, sige. Keep it coming while I discuss what we're gonna discuss today. So I guess for me, what I like about today is that I feel prepared and I feel very excited to talk about this with you, the power of nurture in the workplace. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and you'll find out more about that later on. I like that I'm productive. I'm free to face myself. Yan, ang ganda naman nun. I like being a mom. Hello po, Mommy Roylin. I like learning. Okay, sige. Sige. Moving on to the topic today. Hang on. Okay. So, the power of nurture in workplaces. Just an overview of our topic discussions for today. Aside from the overall why is it important for nurture in workplaces? We want to talk about how nurture in the workplace contributes to the overall well-being and leads to performance. So parang the theory is if there's nurture in the workplace, it will contribute to your overall wellness, and I think that leads to better performance for every individual. And also, what are ways to cultivate a nurturing culture and how to empower your team to pass the nurture forward. I think this is very important because, as Gabby kanina said and Luis, positivity ripples. So it's really important na we pass it forward. Hindi lang yung positivity, it just doesn't stop with us. So the goal is for others also to learn about it. Okay. So, sige. So, I'm gonna further introduce myself because I feel like it's important for you to know my background, for you to understand what I'm saying. So, like Gabby and Louis said kanina, I'm a creative consultant. Currently, I'm doing freelance work, a lot of freelance work for clients, mainly in the sports industry. I'm a digital marketer, a project manager for and I'm an educator, I'm an athlete, and a co-founder of Bata PH. So, himayin ko lang muna, no? I want to talk about who am I and why am I talking about this? Kasi it's a question also that I've reflected on when positive workplaces invited me to talk about it. So parang when they invited me to talk about it, I asked myself, ano ba yung experience ko nga naman, no, to talk about something like this. And I've realized, no, it's a good reflection that I did not realize how important it is for me to have a positive workplace because I talked about it with them until I got invited to talk about it. So parang I know that I've been practicing it. I know that I've been teaching it also to the organizations that I'm handling, that I have right now, to the teams that I work with. But in reality, I did not have a word for it. So it's a positive workplace pala siya. So parang positivity pala siya all in all. So I know that I'm passionate about well-being, my team, and all that. But putting a definition to it or like a title to it gives it more meaning for me. So for all those of you who like learning, I also learned something about myself. So yeah, there. So I started my career as a television producer. I produced and directed for TV, mostly for ABS-CBN before. So that's what you can see in my photos. I did a lot of writing, script writing, producing. I was a PA. That was my background. And then it's for a company called Triple Shot Media, which I will be constantly talking about today because I think that's when I first realized that a positive workplace is possible. So I want you to understand how the many organizations or the teams that I've been with contributed to what I'm talking about now. So it's thanks to my coaches my mentors and to my bosses before. So again, I'm also an athlete. I used to play collegiate volleyball and professional volleyball. So which is a different type of organization. There's a different type of system when you're an athlete. So I will also talk about how it was like in that type of organization. I'm also an educator. I teach communication in senior high school, and I'm the co-founder of Bata PH. What is Bata PH? So Bata PH started 2018, where my friend and I, we realized there are a lot of things that are overlooked in the basic education system, like a lot of things. It's our education system is very traditional, like math, science, and all that. We wanted to teach kids about all the other things that you can learn outside of the classroom, and one of them, coincidentally or not, is about well-being. It's mental health for kids. So we also teach about financial literacy, social responsibility, and all that. So yes, that's my background. Right now, I have started my own freelance sort of creative hub with a team called Despite, as you can see below. We were born out of the pandemic. And like I said, I used to also be part of ABS-CBN Sports, which closed down 2 years ago. So that's hence our team is named like Despite. So we want to create despite the pandemic, despite the closing down of ABS-CBN. So again, positivity. So just our name, di ba? It talks about a lot about positivity agad. Okay, that's me. Ang dami kong sinabi, no? Okay. Okay, so for today, if you have any questions, we will answer all that at the end of the talk. But you can go to this link. I think they will also send it in the chat box. The Nurture in the Workplace. Can you please like just put your questions there, and we will deal with all of that at the end of this talk. Yeah, sa Padlet. So if you want to remain anonymous, that's okay. Just don't sign in, but you can still put your questions there. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's start with a quote. Sabi ni Adam Grant, who is an organizational psychologist, the most meaningful way to succeed is to help others succeed. So yeah, that's something to reflect on, and I feel like it's something that I've been living with. Something that has been my guiding principle also, and I learned from my mentors. And I say, to help others succeed, kailangan alam mo sa sarili mo what you want, diba? So yeah. Sige, let's move on. Yan. So hi. Nagpaalam ako sa team ko to show their faces. So ano ba yung nurturing your coworkers? What does it mean? Let's define it first. What does it mean to nurture your coworkers and have a nurturing environment in the workplace? It's just basically providing the space people need to grow and prosper in your organization. This is from Terry Lee, who is a senior leadership and training consultant. So basically, di ba? Again, paano ba? Mahirap define natin siya like giving space to grow and prosper. Pero paano ba yun gagawin? Diba? So that's what we'll talk about today. So I have a theory. It's not my theory, no? Hindi ko siya original idea, but this is something that I've been trying to live by. So my theory is a nurturing environment will lead to a person's overall well-being, and then an overall well-being will lead to increased performance. And this applies to the workplace, but not only in the workplace. If you think about it, it applies in everything, diba? So this is also our guiding principle with Bata PH. Like, we know that a nurturing classroom, I think a lot of our audience today are students, no? Not just from the workforce. So a nurturing environment in the school, especially at home, will lead to a better development for individuals, and that will lead to a more developed person, or yun nga, increased performance. So this doesn't only apply to the workplace. Yeah. So bakit ba importante to feel nurtured even in the workplace, or especially actually in the workplace? So yun, as you can see here, we spend 8 hours of our day, roughly one third of our day working. If you put it visually, it's like that. Ganyan kalaking bulk of our days we spend working or at school even, no? Even when we started at school, 8 hours. Yung kung ano ka, kung healthy individual ka, recommended for you to sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. Then, no? So, ang dami na nun. 8 hours na tulog, 8 hours na two-thirds na agad ng araw mo. So, ano pa yung time mo for everything else? So, our workplace talaga impacts our lives more than we think. Diba? We think na parang trabaho lang yan or school lang yan. It doesn't matter. Ang importante is what I come home to. But we don't realize that both are important. Bakit? Bakit siya important? Because I have stumbled upon this saying by Jim Rohn, who famously said, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend most time with. So when I realized this, when I heard about this in my first job with my first mentor, I suddenly asked myself, kayo sige, ask nyo rin yung sarili nyo, who are the 5 people right now that you spend most time with? At that time, it was my mentor, Jake, in Triple Shot Media, my 2 co-workers who are part of the management, and then probably my mom and my sister. So yun yung 5 people na yun who I spend the most time with before. So I realized, if I spend the most time with these people, am I happy becoming like these people? Na parang masaya ba ako to emulate the values that they have? Kasi most likely, may imitate ko yung mga values nila because nga, I spend the most time with them. So, ngayon, ask yourselves, who are the 5 people that you spend most time with? And are you going to be happy with yourself or are you proud of yourself and your well-being by spending most of your time with them? Are they positive influences in your life? So yun. Just like any other, you have to treat your workplace as a relationship. It's an important relationship in your life. Dati actually, I say this because parang dati, when I was in college, I was taught pala that the media industry, I'm a Broadcom graduate. The media industry is a ruthless industry daw. So parang I was expecting a toxic culture talaga. Parang coming in expect ko na pangit talaga yung treatment towards me and all that. And then, that's what happened in my first job. And parang sabi ko sa sarili ko, this can't be the reality. There must be something better than this. And then, again, by some virtue of fate, I was accepted in this production house called Triple Shot Media before. And dun ko natutunan na, pwede pala. Kaya ko palang maging competitive while also being kind. I can grow without putting other people down. Yun. I want to say na I wasn't always this wasn't always my mindset. Parang I know yung nurturing ko before, yung pag-prompt sa akin before was yun nga, toxic until I met these people na intentionally they want kind culture or parang a good work culture. So parang it's possible. That's the lesson here. Parang kaya siya, and there are workplaces like that exist. And like I said kanina, we work 8 hours. We tend to think that our home is separate, and yun. Pero lahat ito importante in our overall well-being. Yung well-being natin at work is as important as our well-being at home. Yun. So, slowly, nag-change din yung perspective ko on what an organization should look like or how people should treat each other. Thankfully for that experience. And so, I guess that's why I'm very passionate about it, because I want to spread that around. It is possible. Okay. Sige. So, ngayon, I just wanna let's have an activity. Kasi for something to change, no? Like I said, we have to first acknowledge it, to identify it. Yun yung first step. So before, parang di ko alam what was wrong, why I did not feel good with my first job. So, nung napunta ako sa better environment, doon ko nalaman yung mga dapat pala, o ganito pala dapat itrato yung mga tao and all that. So ngayon, as early as now, I want you to describe. Can you go to Mentimeter? I think this code, I think I gave a new code, no? For the first one. Can you send it on the chat box? I just want to ask you this question. I want you to describe how you feel about going to work or going to school every day. Parang, anong pakiramdam mo when you see your boss? How do you feel on Sunday night when you have to go to work on Monday? Or how do you feel pag nakikita mo na yung coworkers mo? How do you feel about having to deal with this certain coworker or certain employee? Ano yung pakiramdam mo? You can put it in the chat box or please go to the Mentimeter, mentimeter.com. Kasi yung first step is to determine what kind of relationships you want to have in your organization. Okay. So, there. Ayan. So, we're getting a lot of words here. Wow, I'm very happy to note that yung positive emotions, marami. So, happy, excited, tired, of course, no? Blessed, nervous, pressured. Yun yung marami sa atin. Irritated, yes. It's a combination of all of positive and negative emotions and some neutral emotions. Unmotivated, of course. Marami tayong ganyan. Monday na naman, size. I know. We all feel that sometimes. But some are energized, some feel burnt out. Sometimes no emotion, and that's also okay. I want to resign actually. Yeah, we can talk about that later. You can put in your questions sa Padlet. Fatigued, dreadful, not excited at all. Sige. So why am I asking this? Kasi, like I said, it's important na you identify first what you feel, no? So, for something to change. And then, itong feelings natin, we feel this way because there is a behavior causing it. It can be a behavior, a culture, or in your work culture, a behavior from your coworker, a behavior from your boss. The next step that I want you to do is to determine that okay, sige. I want you to attach behaviors to those feelings. What behaviors from your coworkers? Can you please go to Mentimeter again and type in this code? Excuse me. And then answer the question, what behaviors from your coworkers make you feel that way? It can be as simple as, kasi pagpasok ko pa lang nakasimangot na siya, or something else. Let me go back to that presentation. On. Actually, it can be, behaviors can range from, or actually kahit yung pag-send lang ng emails, no? Okay, let's look at your answers. Sorry. Okay, sige. Nakasimangot kasi agad. Aba. Toxic boss. Sige. Let's try to be more specific. When we talk about behaviors, kailangan specific siya. for it to change. For example, specifically, because yung email niya sa akin is always silence. Your boss is silent or like your coworkers are silent. Yan. Ito naman mga positive things, no? My boss acknowledges my efforts, which is a good thing. Due to loads of work, wala ng socials. Feeling nila sila lang maraming ginagawa. So the behavior is, pinabigay sa inyo yung trabaho. Unfair treatment, insensitive. Tapos, meron naman din tayo mga positive things dito. Like, when they talk to me or ask how my day is. So, yan. Maganda yan. Demanding ang boss. Invading personal life, yes. We will talk about that later on. You don't feel like you're growing anymore. Okay, medyo, meron mga sumagot pa din ng ng emotions. Sige. Marites. Ay, nako. Okay, sige. Let's go back. Hold on. Sige. So, thank you for sharing. Sige. So, ngayon, now that you know how you feel about working, about going to school, about seeing your coworkers or your friends, we have to be intentional about our work cultures. So the first step nga, again, is recognizing, acknowledging, and identifying. So we've already done that. So what's the next step? The next step is to be intentional. So if this is what you're feeling right now, or these are the behaviors that make you feel that way right now, ano naman yung after that? Kasi work cultures, good work cultures are cultivated. Hindi lang siya they don't fall on your laps. It's actually a lot of hard work because it's a lot of challenging the norm. So when you challenge the norm, maraming resistance, of course. So you have to be intentional and consistent about it. Yeah. Sige. So ngayon naman, I want you to, can you put in the chat box again? How do you want to feel naman about going to work every day? Let's see. Let's see if there's a difference between your answers kanina with what you feel and now how you want to feel about going to work every day. Have we sent the Menti box? Yan. Motivated and blessed. Inspired. Appreciated. Yeah. Syempre, no? When we talk about how we want to feel, it's mostly positive emotions that we want to feel. We want to feel appreciated, productive, satisfied, comfortable. I want to feel secured. Okay, we can talk about that later. What is your definition of feeling secure? Creative, motivated to do the work, valued. Okay, again, since these are feelings and feelings are brought about by behaviors, or let's ask naman the next question. Sige. For this Mentimeter, can you first answer the first question muna? Again, I want you to, for an intentional work culture, think about the behaviors from your coworkers, from your bosses that will make you feel that way. Ano sa tingin nyo yung yung positive behaviors that will make you feel that way. Let's give it a few minutes or seconds. I was on mute. Reassurance from my team when they are supportive. If they don't micromanage yan. Very good. It's a very specific behavior. So tama yun. Welcoming and smiling faces. You know, these small things really, regardless of how stressful you feel, di ba? So, I just understanding in a way of being open-minded. So, just identifying these small steps is already important. Big enough changes na siya. And you have to also remember that if you want these things from your coworkers, or if you want your coworkers to behave this way around you, to have a more positive work environment, it should also start with you. So let's not forget that. So if you want your coworkers to smile more often or to be more positive, you should also show them that you are like that, because you know behavior and positivity, ano yan eh, what's the term? Nakakahawa. How do you say nakakahawa? Yes, nakakahawa siya. So if it starts with you, it's also a positive thing. Meaningful feedback. Appreciating little winnings at the office. Yung mga small things. Good answers. If meron kang caring boss, appreciate, so, ang dami ko nakikita about appreciation, parang marami tayong concerns about being appreciated in the workplace. Being open to suggestion and hearing others' opinion. Okay, thank you. Now, I want you naman to... Sige. Thank you for that. In the same Mentimeter, there's another question. So again, intention is key. So now that we know the feelings that we want to have, the behaviors that will help us, ano naman yung values? Let's try to assign values to those behaviors. What are the values that are important to you, and how can this apply in the workplace? So for example, kanina may nagsabi about invading the personal space or personal life, di ba? So what value ba yung kailangan mo to have that? So it's all about respecting boundaries, di ba? So that's a value, respect, or ano ba kanina? Smiling more, meron kanina nagsabi nun. So it can be about positivity is a value. What else are sample values that you can share? Can you please answer the Mentimeter? Same code. Were you able to see the question, the next question? I don't see anyone here yet. Autonomy, appreciation. Autonomy is very interesting. Tama. Kanina, someone said about someone's input was about not being micromanaged. So yun. So tama that the value that corresponds to that is autonomy, di ba? Humility, hard work, recognition. Very good. Ang daming nagsabi niyan kanina. Recognition. Open-mindedness. Continuous growth. Positive regard. Psychological safety. Okay, we will talk about that later then. Kindness. As the most basic value. Professionalism. Okay. Altruism. Oh, that's interesting. Broad perspective for those kanina nagsabi na they feel appreciated when people are open-minded and their bosses are open-minded. Empathy, very very important. Thank you so much for answering that. I will share all these answers with you later on. Work-life balance, positive reinforcement, integrity, and honesty. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for your active participation. Maraming salamat. Again, if you have any questions about today, or if you don't wanna, if you wanna be, if you don't want people to know about your questions, put it in the bit.ly link or put it in the chat if you're not too shy. We will talk about it later. Okay, so we talked about intentionality, no? So now that we have attached nga the values that we want to behaviors and to the feelings, na-breakdown na natin siya eh. Kailangan kasi ma-breakdown natin siya for us to challenge it. I want us to talk about naman our workplace non-negotiables. So like I said, no, we have to treat our workplace as any other important relationship in our lives. So there must be non-negotiables. You have to be choosy. You have to be choosy and intentional about the workplace that you want to belong to or the workplace that you want to create. So I just want to share my workplace non-negotiables, and I want to acknowledge that it's really hard to have a workplace non-negotiable when you're just starting, when you're only starting first job, but it is possible. These workplace non-negotiables, I have cultivated them, or like I've realized them as I've, like I said, been part of several different organizations and systems and cultures. And now that I am in a place that I can manage a team of my own, these are the things that I am very, very particular about. Ano ba yung workplace non-negotiables ko? Una sa lahat, financial sustainability. Number one, because why do I work? Diba? So for a lot of us, for most of us actually, our jobs are meant to sustain us. And so number one important thing is for it to be sustainable for us, for the lives that we want to create for ourselves. So that's a non-negotiable for me. So kasi I want to reiterate that nurture is dapat 360. So you can't offer lang, you can't only find a workplace that's very positive, very but doesn't pay you well, because at the end of the day, you're doing it to sustain yourself. So it has to be 360. When you look for when you talk about well-being, hindi pwedeng one side lang. It has to be buo, kumbaga. Another workplace non-negotiable for me is culture of progress over hierarchy. What do I mean about this? It means that even though I am not the boss, or I'm not the mentor, or I'm not in the highest position, I know that they respect my opinions. I will be heard. Para siyang growth mindset din. So what's growth mindset? So everyone in the team values growth over yung just because the boss said it, or just because ganyan. And I understand also that it's particularly different for corporate setups. It's a tradition or a culture that is hard to challenge for big companies or for corporations that have existed for the longest time. But this is why we're doing this, and this is why we exist to challenge different or difficult cultures for our well-being. So that's what I mean when I say culture of progress over hierarchy. Important sa akin na pinapakinggan ako ng aking mentor or ng aking boss. Respects boundaries. Ito, maraming nagsabi kanina. So it's important for me that, what do I mean about boundaries? It's important for me that none of my workmates or my team understands that we don't call each other like 11 p.m. or after work hours. It's actually, for my industry, it's very challenging talaga. And I imagine in other industries too, because we have very flexible working hours. Like For example, we are covering game, UAAP game. That's not in the traditional working hours. So minsan lalagpas talaga siya, but we understand as a team na may boundaries talaga kami. So important 'yon. Ikaw din dapat nirerespeto mo yung boundaries ng employees mo or ng teammates mo. If you don't want that them to do that to you, don't do that to them also. What else is an example of respecting boundaries? Respecting boundaries can also mean like, this is not part of my job description. So we all know, or maybe not because some of your students, sometimes when structures or job descriptions are not clear, some companies tend to overstep, or parang not overstep, tend to make you overwork, or do things that are not part of your job description. So you have to set that boundary na parang, I don't think, and I know, I acknowledge that it might be hard, but again, cultures have to be challenged to be changed, and behaviors have to be repeatedly challenged. May repetition ng intentionality for something to change. This is not part of my job description. Maybe this should be maybe so and so and so, we can do this, blah blah blah. Pero parang always be sensitive din to parang constructive communication. And then another non-negotiable for me is opportunity for mentorship, and two ways siya. I think for me, I want to know, I need to know that when I go to this organization or this company, there's an opportunity for me to be mentored. And I don't mean that in a skills way lang, no? Mentored how to be a better editor or how to be a better writer, but in a values sort of way. Like, how can I be a better leader? So I want to know that there's someone who can mentor me. And I want to also know that I have an opportunity to also mentor someone else in the team with my strengths. So yun yung workplace non-negotiables ko. And I hope after this talk, you can also write down your workplace non-negotiables, because I know that we have also non-negotiables in other aspects of our lives. So it might be good for you to have your own workplace non-negotiables, kasi it will also be easier for you to know what you want and what you actually don't want also. Okay. Sabi ni Simon Sinek, to start with why, in his book Start With Why, I highly recommend that you read it. Great organizations become great because the people inside feel protected. No? Kanina may nagsabi, kanina sa kanya na she wants to feel protected. Nakita ko sa feelings that she wants to have. And ano ba yung ibig sabihin nun? It is echoed by Marisa King sa libro niyang Social Chemistry, Decoding the Patterns of Human Connection. She said that the 5 ways to cultivate a great team, ito daw yung composition. So number 1, dependability. Can I depend on my teammates? Can I depend on my bosses? Can I trust this company? Ganyan. Structure and clarity around goals and roles. So that's what I said kanina. Goals and roles have to be clear, because that's how you set your boundaries, or that's how you respect the boundaries of other people also. And kapag walang clarity around goals, you have to be able to give your team a North Star. So ano ba yung goal ng lahat? Para when things start to become difficult, merong babalik at babalikan. So for example, in our team, I'm mostly working on we're mostly working on sports brands clients. So some UAAP, PBA, what else, PVL. Kung nanonood kayo ng sports, we tell positive stories of athletes and all that. So sometimes when pinag-iisip kami ng content creation or brainstorming, tas minsan nagugulo kami, ano ba yung tama to show the fans, or what are the fans expecting from as a content. Nisip namin lagi, okay, ang North Star ng team namin is to create positive stories, hopeful stories, and narratives of the athletes. So North Star din namin na to take care of the athletes also, their stories, and to parang mas i-put into a higher standard or goals yung ating Filipino leagues. So, yun yung North Star namin in our storytelling. So, kapag magulo na lahat, doon at doon pa rin kami babalik. Yun yung question namin. Ito bang ginagawa natin? Yun pa rin yung goal. Yun pa rin yung ma-achieve. Personal meaning. Sabi ni Marissa King, the work has to have personal meaning. So, for managers out there or for people who are interviewing employees, for me, it's important that I know that the values of the person that I'm interviewing or I want to be part of the team is aligned with the values of the team or my values or what we do. I need to know that it has personal meaning to him or her. Like creating this is meaningful to him because dyan papasok yung number 4, belief that the work matters. Important for people na ngayon to know that may value, di ba, into what they're doing. And number 5, actually this is number 1, but someone already said this kanina sa values, which I'm very happy about because it's not, I guess it's not a new concept. Psychological safety. So I think it can explain itself, no? You feel psychologically safe. You have margin for error. Hindi ka takot. You are not anxious. Na something will, if you do something wrong, if you create one mistake, hindi ka takot na, I will get fired. That's the most basic example of it. Or hindi ka masisisi. Yan. Again, ine-echo ulit siya ni Simon Sinek with his book Start With Why. So as you know, all these writers are agreeing with each other. So he said that if there's a strong sense of culture in a team, this kind of positive culture, yung team and yung individuals will have a sense of belonging. So again, they will feel protected, di ba? And that acts like a net now. What does that mean? So when your team feels protected, feeling nila they can take more risks, diba? So that can reflect on their creativity. So because my team feels protected, they can be more creative. They are not afraid to take more crazy routes into their creativity. Yun, yung mga examples of that. And then sabi nga ulit ni Simon Sinek, yung role daw of a leader is not to come up with all the great ideas. The role of a leader is to create an environment in which great ideas can happen. So, yun. So, when you have those 5 things, balik tayo, dependability and all that, it's easier for your people to actually do the work. So, ikaw as a leader or as a manager, you have to also trust your team. Kasi you got them for the reason na you know that they can do the job well. So you have to trust them and trust that they can do their job. Yes. Okay. So ano ba yung steps into having a nurturing workplace? Like I said, nurture is 360, di ba? So, yung number 1, if you want to have, balik rin muna to. Be intentional, inspire, and empower, and then also culture of kindness and respect. So, ito yung 4 things na we'll talk about in the next few slides. So, number 1, nurture is 360. If you want your people to feel nurtured, first and foremost, you have to pay people well. Kasi, it's hard. You cannot ask people to think about their well-being or think about their overall wellness if they are so focused. Their only focus is survival. Diba? So, marami sa atin yung ganyan sa start. So, ang hirap naman maging, I want to be more mindful, I want to be kinder when you yourself ang iniisip mo is how do I survive on a day-to-day basis. So, number one talaga, kasama sa nurture ang pagbayad ng tao ng tama. So, kayo rin, kung manager kayo or kung leader kayo ng fight for your people that they get paid well. That's, I think, most important. One of the most important things in nurturing, in a nurturing environment. Because, whether we like it or not, when people are paid well, they feel more valued. Di ba? Tama naman. So, when you feel more valued, you exert more effort then. Di ba? Yan. Next one is being intentional. What do I mean by that? Yeah, I'm going to show you again my team. So these are actual steps that I try to make with my team. So number one, do regular check-ins and one-on-ones. And this is particularly important for me, especially during this pandemic because we are 100% work from home. So I really don't get to see my team. I haven't seen, so for the last 2 years, meron akong teammates na I haven't seen. Meron akong mga na-interview, makapasok sa team na I haven't seen physically. So meron lang kaming laging Zoom meetings. And in Zoom meetings, you have to understand that there's a whole level of communication. Yung physical, ano bang tawag doon? Yung body language that you don't get to see. Diba? So, hindi mo nararamdaman yung hindi mo nakikita sa mga tao or sa co-workers mo. So, it's important to get to know them on a, kahit yung mga, ano lang, simple check-ins katulad ng ginawa natin kanina. It can be about one-word feelings for the day, how they feel, what they like about the day. For me also, this is what I learned from my mentor before. We do twice a year one-on-ones. One-on-ones to align the goals. I ask them you can ask them, what are the skills that they want to learn for the year? Ano yung gusto nilang i-upgrade about sa sarili nila, soft skills and hard skills. And then what you also have to communicate what you expect from them. Importante yung one-on-ones because mas nakikilala mo sila, and you also have to ask them about their lives outside of work sometimes para malaman mo what they're passionate about, how their values align with your values. So, yun. I think that's very important. And I know that it's kind of hard to do. It's easy for a startup like what we have in our team because there are few number of people lang. But for a larger group, it's gonna be quite harder because ang dami nyo. So, like I said, because positivity ripples, you have to pass it around. So, interviewin mo siguro yung management committee and then make it a culture that your management committee interviews or like do one-on-ones with their teams para you don't have to do all the work when you're the manager. Ano tong highlights, lowlights na to? Sometimes naman when I'm in a smaller group, in a smaller meeting, I make it a point to start the meeting on a positive note, like what we did earlier. I set around 10 to 15 minutes for highlights, lowlights. So what are highlights, lowlights? Para lang malaman ng lahat. So highlights, lowlights, tinatanong ko sila, ano yung highlight of your week? Since we meet weekly, what's the highlight or lowlight of your week? So para siyang open sharing lang. It's a good way, positive way to start your meeting. Energy is high na agad. And the key here, again, is be intentional because you have to intentionally set time for that with your busy schedules. Lahat ng tao busy, lahat ng tao may ginagawa. But, doing this consistently, repetitively, it becomes part of the culture. And I'm happy to say na parang it's something that my teammates already look forward to. So pag may meeting kami, na-excite na kami because we're gonna share our weekly highlights ng personal lives namin. So it's important for our team. Yeah. So again, intentionality, determining what kind of relationships you want to have in your organizations. So if during your interviews, when you are being interviewed, when you are interviewing someone, if you are a leader of a team, if you are onboarding someone, you have to check if their values align with yours. Ask about their work style. This is important to me because For example, meron pala akong workmate na ayaw niya palang, na-anxious siya when I call him. So, he doesn't like phone calls at all. So, that's something that we set during our one-on-one. Unless like may mamamatay na or it's really, really urgent, I never call him via phone because it gets him anxious. So, those little things, kapag nalaman mo siya, di ba maliit lang siya na bagay, pero kung hindi mo siya alam, ang laki pala ng effect niya sa coworker mo in their well-being. Ayaw niya pala ng, nararatel pala siya pag tinatawagan mo siya. Those small things you have to learn about the people you work with. Get to know them outside of work so you know what they enjoy. What are the most important values that they live by? Because yun din yung values na impart nila with their other teammates. Are they culturally fit? What does this mean? Do they share the values, again, with the team that you want to create? Who are they outside the workplace? I think it's very important when you're onboarding someone. So, hindi lang sila robot in your workplace. No, they are really people. In being interviewed naman, like I said, you have to have workplace non-negotiables. So, kapag ini-interview ka, di ba, sometimes they ask you, ikaw, what are your questions about this company, blah, blah, blah. So, kapag hindi kayo tinanong nun, tanongin niyo sa dulo, can I ask a question about this company? Because hindi lang naman sila yung mag-gain ng new person. You are going to be part of the team. So, it's also important to know what you're getting into. So, ask about their work culture. What do I mean about that? How do they handle criticisms? How do they handle errors? Does it align with you? Is it gonna make you grow as a person? Or do you have a mentor? What kind of mentorship will you get? So, itong mga bagay na to, I know because I've been there. I was very, very shy to ask about this. I did not ask about this in my first few jobs. But it is important because, again, intentionality is key. And if you are afraid that you will not find a job that suits your preferences, do not be afraid. It may take time, but these workplaces, they exist. And, you know, you can be part of them or you can create them even better, diba? Okay. Again, next one is to inspire and empower. Sabi ni Barack Obama, again, a very recommended read from A Promised Land, his book, A Promised Land. People stand up a little straighter when they learn that their voices matter. So part of nurturing someone or your people is to know that they are inspired and empowered. Sampulan ko lang kayo ng mga very real things that happen. So I received this email a few months ago. Good day, Aya. Apologies for messaging you on holiday. I'm writing to request if you can meet on to discuss some matters. Blah 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 blah. I would be grateful if we could meet as soon as possible. So like I said, in our culture, we respect boundaries, no? So the fact that, and alam nila yung lahat, the fact that someone would message me on a holiday or email me, immediately I know that it is urgent. So aside from that, the context is another person, actually his team lead messaged me at the same time, almost the same thing. So I know nga na it's something urgent. So these two people might have something that they need to discuss individually with me. So for context, I found out that they had a konting misunderstanding that has to be addressed. So when you are a startup or a freelance or a startup team, you are most likely also the HR of your team. So it's important nga to talk to them like this. So what I did for sa situation na to, I set a meeting with both of them, and you know, it's part of the job. Even though it's a little more step, para siyang additional step into what we're trying to build, being the HR of it all. It's important to talk to these people and yun, inspire and empower. If this person is not empowered or parang she doesn't think that she can talk to me, she would not have emailed me this. She would have just quit, or parang since may misunderstanding sila, she would just have let it go and like wait for her contract to end. But because she knows that I will hear her side, she emailed me this. So, ganun siya. So, it's a feeling then na you have to cultivate sa team mo na, okay, I can talk to this manager, I can talk to this leader. Another example. Yan. Sige, ito, maganda tong story na to. I actually received this email 2 days ago. So, I want to share this with you. So, sabi niya sa akin, hi, Aya, thanks for sending the contract. Blah, blah, blah. So, contract is about paying people. I know we spoke about my pay, blah, blah, blah. But I would like to ask if you could raise my rates based on the effort and the time I've been putting in the past month or so. I love our project, our team, and I'm very excited to continue working with you. But I'd like to ask for, and she gave a specific amount. Given the man hours I'll spend producing from one end to end. Sige. I just want to open the chat box. I just want to know if kung kayo yung magsabi nito sa mga boss nyo or like sa people who manage you, how would they have reacted? I can't find the chat box. Ayun. Sige. I just curious lang ako. Ay, sorry. Meron palang nagtanong. Sorry. Sige. How would they have reacted kung kayo yung sasabihin ng previous ko, feeling entitled, very demanding employee. Okay, sige. I would like to acknowledge that in some cases, that may be the case, no? We cannot also discount that there might be demanding employees, but in this context naman, I want you to know, to contextualize this. So I've been working with this person for a long time, and I know that she's a really, really good producer. I really love working with her, but I also know that she has a confidence issue. So to the point that when I gave her a project before, she was so surprised that the team would reimburse her transportation, her food for a project. She has the parang gulat na gulat siya na ganun pala in the workplace. She can ask for that pala. So sabi ko sa sarili ko, this person needs to learn how to speak for herself. So I know for a fact that she deserves better. But I actually was waiting for her talaga. Sabi ko, nagtatrabaho na siya for us for a few months. So I hope she already knows that she can voice her concerns. So what I said was, hello, I agree. I'm proud of you for speaking up. Blah, blah, blah. So, I asked her if this is fair, blah, blah, blah. Nagkaroon kami ng new agreement. And she said, thank you so much. Honestly, thanks to people to you and around me for helping me speak up. I'm okay with the setup. So, gusto ko lang i-share na sobrang proud moment ko talaga to. Like, feeling ko kasi na-hit namin yung 2 birds with 1 stone. I was really waiting for her to step up and know her worth because especially in the media industry, yes, normalize asking rates. Especially in the media industry, it's masakit man siya sabihin, it's sometimes normalized to shortchange artists because sometimes artists will create for creation's sake and they don't know how to ask for the right rates. So the fact that she spoke up, yun, parang 2 birds with 1 stone na ano na siya, na taasan natin yung rates niya, plus also, marunong na siya to ask for what she deserves. Alam na niya. Diba? Sige. There are people who are messaging me. I will answer your questions later on. Okay, sige. So yun, inspire and empower. So make them feel na kailangan nilang, they can talk to you and empower them to be confident about themselves and to know their worth. Culture of kindness and respect. Ano ba yan? Ay, hindi pa pala. Inspire and empower. Ay, di. Culture of kindness and respect na tayo. So, sabi ni Barack Obama, yung type of leadership daw niya, I am generous in my praise, but measured in my criticism. Yeah. So, creating a culture of kindness and respect. I just want to share that yun, sa amin, when we do postmortems or like post-project constructive criticisms, we always do this. Per project, ginagawa talaga namin to. even a slight change of language have an impact, enormous impact siya on thoughts and processes. Like for example, we used to ask what worked and what didn't work. Tapos parang yung what worked and what didn't work, hindi siya sabi namin, hindi siya enough. So sabihin mo lang, pangit kasi nito or ay hindi kasi ito nag-work or gusto ko to, pero hindi mo tinatanong why. So instead of asking what didn't work, we change the language to what worked and what can be improved. So you have to note that important yung change of language because the question is now actionable. So yung answers nila, yung thoughts nila agad, actionable na. What can be improved? Maybe the color can be different or maybe I'm speaking from a very creative industry standpoint. So maybe the writing can be different. Maybe ganyan. It can be like this. So parang immediately na-skip namin yung step ng di ba? One step ka na, ahead ka na kasi action na yung gusto mong gawin next. And also I personally I don't tolerate yung mga criticisms that are not actionable or not constructive. So pag sinabi lang na hindi ko nagustuhan hindi ko siya titigilan hangga't masabi niya why. Because kailangan masabi mo bakit. Kailangan masabi mo paano tayo mag-i-improve. Hindi pwedeng feel mo lang, ayaw mo lang siya. Kailangan may reason. Kasi may reason yan kung ba't hindi. So it should always be, this can be better because, yan. So, find the root cause. Okay. So, culture of kindness and respect. Ito is sa mga respecting boundaries. Sabi nung teammate ko the other day, hi guys, I'm so sorry, but can I take the day off today? I'm really not in a good space right now and I feel I need to take a break. So again, if you say this to your managers or bosses, or the team, what would be a reaction? I've had this experience before when I said, when they told me something in the lines of lahat tayo nakakasakit or whatever. And I felt very, very unprotected. So when you work with a team, you have to trust that they are honest. You have to trust that you got the right people because you share the same values and that they will not shortchange you with their work also. So if they tell you that they need a break, it is because they need a break. So again, yung oras namin hindi siya, it's not fixed. So mahirap din talaga to, But for someone to be able to speak up and ask for a break, that's the kind of culture that I would want. And syempre, you have to respond correctly. Na parang, if you need a break, then go ahead. Because when you say that, you are telling him or her na, I trust that you will do your job when you are well, when you are better, di ba? Ayan. Tapos, again, in respecting boundaries, this is one of my bosses, one of my clients calling me. They call me Tita Aya. Sabi, tumawag siya sa akin on a Sunday. So, medyo na ako kasi isa sa mga workplace na negotiable ko and they know this. Please don't call me unless you're gonna die or something. So, he called me on a Sunday. But because I know him and I know that he respects me and he trusts me and I also respect him, I know na the fact na tumatawag siya, it must be something really important. So, he apologized afterwards. And it was something really important. Sabi ko, okay lang, sir, you would not have called if hindi important. Yeah. So, yun, yung sobrang simple lang niya actually, but it really has a massive effect on. Yun. Just a few more slides na. You have to remember, I always say this with my team, that you are working with people and sometimes people are the product. My mentor used to say this to us na parang, yung mga creations namin, it's just a byproduct of the product, which is the people. Sabi niya, we have always been the product. The fact that we have grown, the fact na naging ganito kami, or parang we also want to pay it forward and create a good team is already the product. Because, clients will come and go, projects will come and go, but the people that you work with will stay. So, project to project. So, yun. Alagaan yung mga tao. Yun yung importance ng nurture in the workplace because they will take care of the next ones and the next ones and the positivity will ripple. And, some other things like celebrate the small wins. Diba? Parang, yung mga malilit na bagay, celebrate nyo siya lahat because, again, positivity. Yun. So, actually, we have time for a few questions now. Before I go to just last few slides. Okay. Shucks, ang daming wait lang give me a few moments to open the wait lang. Okay lang ba kayo? Are you okay? Is this
Okay naman.
okay pa, no?
Okay naman.
Ang haba pala ng sinabi ko na. Ay, ang daming tanong. Okay, very good.
Yeah, actually, if you want, we can assist you with the Q&A.
Sige, sige.
If you want, we can flash it now.
Sige, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Tapos, for the people, sorry, I just want to say, for the people who messaged me directly, I'm taking note of your questions right now, and I will answer later.
Yeah, ayan, no? So maybe we can, actually what I love about this, Aya, when you made this pattern is, yung some of the people help,
Yes.
they have their own experiences. So, pati sila nakisagot, nakabigay ng
Oo.
advice.
Saya.
So, I love this system that you created. Ayan, I guess I want to ask you this one. Ito. This one, yung what if the boss prefer the new employees over old employees? New employees get promoted over longer term employees. So, anong masasabi natin dyan?
Ako, we don't know kasi how we can speak for your boss's mindset. So I guess the most important thing is to communicate, no? Kasi hindi natin alam talaga kung anong preference niya. Una sa lahat, bakit siya may ganoong preference? So if you also don't voice out that concern with your boss, na parang, napapansin ko that you prefer ganyan, ganyan, and why? You have to ask him why and what you can do. Diba? What can I do to improve or to be preferred? Diba? So again, ang sagot dyan is communication. For me, because hindi ko masasagot yung iniisip ng employee mo. You just have to talk to them.
Yeah, that's actually very right. I also like this question. I think it's very related to what you're talking about. Na, how will you be positive at work when the work situation is negative? How do you stay happy in such a negative situation?
First of all, there is a range of negative situations. No? There are situations talaga na super negative that it's impossible to stay positive. But kung yung situations are solvable, I guess that's the mindset. So we operate from a problem-solving mindset. So if it's solvable, to me, it's automatically positive because we can solve it as a team. You can solve it. So ano yung steps? It's mostly operating from an actionable mindset. That's how at least us, that's how we stay positive despite being so tired. Sometimes it's just, ayaw mo tong gawin, or ba't ba to kailangan ng kliyente? Or my teammate, again, communication. So, sample lang ng negative situation, sometimes I can sense tension with the team, and I always tell them na I have to trust you or trust them na if there's that tension, i-communicate ko siya agad. Plus, I want to trust them that they have my back. Plus, if I do something wrong or may pagkukulang ako, they respect me enough also to call me out. So, I feel like calling me out or calling people out respectfully is a sign of respect because you know that they are open. So, yung mga negative situations can turn into a positive situation when you know how to communicate.
I think that's great, no? But basically, you started with saying, of course, how will you deal with it with a positive mindset and then to be very action-oriented. I love that. And yun nga, yung example mo just shows how communication really plays a role. How about you, Gabby? Out of all these questions, what did you want to ask Aya?
I think a lot of people can relate na despite trying my best, I feel very left out by my workmates. What can I do about it?
Okay, I think you're talking about your, diba? Skills-wise and growth-wise. Left out in that sense ba? Kasi if you feel left out, I think you have to be, again, identify yung things na you think you are left out about. Tama ba yung grammar ko doon? Identify mo siya, isa-isahin mo. I feel left out in terms of this skill, in terms of this value. Like, I feel mas magaling sa akin magsulat si ganito, ganyan-ganyan. And if you have a positive work culture, you can ask for help. Especially from your leader, you can communicate. You should be able to communicate na, I think I'm not doing well. What can I do better? Diba? So again, communication pa din. Pero ikaw, it should start with you, diba? Trabahuhin mo muna sa sarili mo and identify ano ba yung mga kailangan mong i-improve to not be left out.
Yeah, and I think I actually want to add to this, no. In the case that they're not talking about skills, no, maybe yung literal na baka left out lang talaga siya. Alam mo, that's
Okay.
the importance there is on creating relationships, no. But I had something to say, no.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
But ayan, so the importance there is in creating relationships, no? And that's very important. Ako, my advice on this is to really just start with one person. Because again, you only need one person to be able to make a connection. And if all goes well, that one person can lead to more. But of course, the biggest obstacle you have to overcome here is actually putting yourself out there. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. So I see that despite trying my best part. So nakita ko na yung, what if ginagawa mo no, pero left out ka pa rin. I guess the only thing I could say is don't give up talaga until you find that at least one person, and maybe it can lead to more. What do you guys think?
Yes, and for all you know, baka sila rin yung, like, they're hesitant to also interact with other people. So you just really have to be consistent about approaching them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
And in making those connections, like, you might be able to create that nurturing culture experience that you're looking for in your company. So, ayan, maybe you can answer at least 2 more questions. No, again, I love that there's so many questions. But then unfortunately we don't have all the time. Kaya nga, in the one you mentioned a while ago, the people that sent you personal messages, for those who sent Aya personal questions through the chat, I'd actually want to invite you guys to answer here, because just like as you're seeing, it's anonymous. Kasi mababalikan ni Aya if nilagay niyo yung questions niyo sa sheet na to. So ayan, makikita niyo pa that the comment might come from Aya. So I invite those people to ask the question here. So here, I guess I want to ask this question. How can I deal with anxiety in the workplace?
How can I deal with anxiety in the workplace? So kanina, 'di ba, we talked about identifying feelings. So that number 1, you have already identified the feeling. So the next step is to identify the behaviors that make you feel that way. So when you identify those behaviors, you can either communicate to the person making you feel that way na this makes me feel this way, this makes me feel anxious, or ganyan, or parang do something about it. So one way nga is communicating, ganyan. But yun, again, identify muna kung bakit. Kasi all feelings have a reason. All emotions have an underlying reason or triggers.
Okay. All right. And I guess we can just ask one final question. Gabby, did you want to ask one of these questions?
I think this is something related to what we will talk about next week. So pwedeng simulan na rin ni Aya yung conversation. How to be assertive when your boss always take it as negative and personal when you speak up.
Difficult question.
It's a difficult situation.
Difficult situation siya. Teka lang. I have to think about that. You have to understand na everybody, all of us naman have egos, no? I think this is being offended is part of our egos, and understanding that na it's not about you. The ego of other people is not about you. It may be difficult because baka ano siya sa'yo, towards you, medyo may toxicity because yun nga, parang offended siya lagi. But you have to understand, may kilala daw siyang ganyan. Nako, may mga natatamaan. But you have to understand, do not take it personal. I know it's hard. And if your relationship with your boss is in a sense na hindi mo siya kayang ma-communicate in that way na, sir, medyo offended ka lagi, ano? You have to just think na hindi siya personal. It's his issue with accepting or responding, but you still have to be assertive. but respectful all the time.
Yeah, and actually, I want to also add to this. One is sometimes it's really not your fault if it's your boss who is this kind of person, but it all really comes back to communication. If you could really communicate that with your boss, but if that's something you're afraid to do, um, check the systems that are already in place in order for you to do this. Reach out to your HR, reach out to someone who can handle a situation like this, because this one sounds like a very HR thing that you should be open enough to bring up with them, especially if you feel like it's becoming a source of the negative cultures for you in your workplace. And if all else fails, although not everyone has the privilege to do so, then maybe that workplace is not for you.
Yes.
So that's always a possibility. So ayun. I guess I just want to thank everyone for asking the questions. Sorry we couldn't answer all of them, but we love that you guys were very engaging even in asking questions. And I just wanted to bring it back to you, no, Aya, by saying thank you so much for the learning session that you were able to give all of us. Yeah, and we were able to learn so much, and then thank you so much for teaching us all these things. And yeah, sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, kind of just I'm gonna share just a few last few words. Sige. Last few words lang.
Yes, yes.
Saan ko ba? Tinapon.
Yeah.
Ayan, sorry. Last quote na for the day. Yung key, sabi ni Celeste Headley sa Do Nothing, the key to well-being is shared humanity. So, just be kind. Overall, sa lahat na sinabi ko is just kindness and positivity. And also, teka lang have one more. So, if you have takeaways, please go to this Mentimeter. We don't have to discuss it anymore, but it will help me also to know what you've learned today. And yeah, share quickly a reading list. 2 slides lang. For psychology and leadership, ito, screenshot nyo kung gusto nyo. Ito talaga yung mga recommended reading list ko. Dito ko rin nakuha lahat of the learnings that I've shared with you. Barack Obama, social chemistry, I mentioned it, Simon Sinek, his book, Start With Why. Yan, so please. And then, aside from psychology and leadership, again, sabi ni kanina ni Alma na mag-start ka sa self mo. So, for personal development, this is my go-to. Si Ryan Holiday, any of his books. My most recent reads is How to Do the Work and What Happened to You. Ito, super recommended. Madami pa, pero ito yung top 8 ko siguro for personal development. Ganda ng mga librong to. It will help you a lot. Yon. Tapos, last ko na, since like I said na treat your workplace nga, di ba, as a relationship and treat yung, magkaroon ka ng workplace non-negotiables, magkaroon ka ng values, and maging choosy ka sa lahat ng trabaho mo, be intentional. I would also like to call everyone to hindi lang sa workplace, but please also choose leaders who share your values in the workplace and in this government. We fight for ourselves, no? We fight for ourselves in the workplace. Let's fight for each other for a good governance, diba? So, yeah. In a more macro sense, choose leaders who share your values. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can email me or, go through Positive Workplaces.
Ayun, I just wanted to thank you again, especially for those book suggestions. I love that, especially yung Atomic Habits and Start With Why ni Simon Sinek. These are all very useful things that will really help forward your message in your webinar. And I guess this goes for everyone. I wanted to thank you guys all for coming, and I hope that you're able to pick up something, especially when it comes to creating or finding the benefit of a nurturing culture in your workplace. And maybe through this learning session that you were able to attend, that you become champions in your own workplaces and you use the learnings that you picked up from Aya and all the learnings from the books that she suggested. So with that, I wanted to thank you once again, Aya, and the rest of you here. We just have a couple of things before we end and send the evaluation form. Very quickly lang. Yan, if we're gonna, yes, So ayan, next week, we have our last series for the month of March, which is si Bea Almoite, who will be talking about the serve mo sis, speak up and step up. So it's all about communicating what you're good at and being more proud of yourself and how you can do that. So we hope to see you next week for that. And we also wanted to bring up that we have an asynchronous learning course that's available on our website. And now is actually a really good time to enroll because we have a promo rate for half the price in celebration for Women's Month. You'll see there what you need in order to avail the promo. And we just wanted to put this out just in case you're interested in this. It's an asynchronous course on positive emotions, and going through the 10 positive emotions, you'll be able to better assess your well-being. So, ayan. Next naman, we have two courses. I'm just gonna brush by. This is for people who are managers or who are looking for trainings. We have one on Strat Plan that is a public course available in April. And also in the next slide, you'll see that we also have a positive leadership course that is available in May. So if this is something that you're interested in, reach out to us on Facebook and you will see our website and how you can access this. Next naman, ayan, like I said, just search us on Facebook, Positive Workplaces. I also want to take this time to plug yung Aya del Mundo, Bata PH. Also reach out to her and the stuff that she puts out. Again, you heard it from her yourself. She's very amazing, so please reach out to her. If you want to reach out to Positive Workplaces, please send us an email at learn@positiveworkplaces.org. Most likely, ang makakausap nyo, ako. Ako yung makakausap nyo. So if you're interested in our products and services, please send us an email. And ayan, we will now be sending the post-evaluation form in the chat. Ayan. And I guess, so now that the evaluation form is out, actually just one last thing before we do end this. I want to open up that we have an internship program for Positive Workplaces. So if you like the learning session you're able to experience just now and you want to know more about the inner workings and what we do here in Positive Workplaces, please check us out on Facebook and you will see that we have an internship program that is currently open for applications. And with that, before we go, I want to invite everyone to open their camera so we can have a photo up for this very amazing session. So, ayan. Okay, yan. Bigyan lang natin ng oras na magbukas sila lahat ng camera. Okay. Ayan, thank you so much for turning on your camera. I love na maraming nagbubukas yan. So many beautiful and handsome faces. Okay. So, magka 3, 2, 1, smile ako. I-hold nyo na lang yung mga ngiti nyo kasi iilang slides rin to. Okay? Okay? In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Hold that smile. Ayan, I love it. Umabot na ng 4 pages ang naka-on ng camera. Okay. Thank you so much once again for attending. So again, I hope di masyado natabunan. Again, thank you all for coming. The evaluation link was submitted by our tech support in the chat as well as our Facebook and YouTube channels. So once again, thank you, Aya, for this wonderful session this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.